we are. Week 18. Heat Map Fantasy Sports. I'm done. At Banks 17. Come check us out at Heat Map Fantasy Sports. Come check me out on Twitter at Banks 17. $3.99 a week get you access to everything that we do, all the sports: hockey, basketball, baseball, football, college sports, soccer, PGA, MMA, college sports, all of it. Covered all, $3.99. So you can join the Comma Club. That's the people who have $1,000 or more in a week. Been popping those pretty much weekly. Let's see. This past week we had a guy who qualified. Paul qualified for the live finals for NHL in Denver in March. That was a $20,000 package. I hit for $1,000 last week, right the week before. Had a guy hit for $60,000 a couple weeks ago. A few other guys in there. I hit for $2,500 a couple weeks back. It's been a lot of Comma Club stuff. A lot of Comma Club with the basketball, or with the football and the hockey for sure. But week 18. I'm gonna give it a few minutes before we start getting too crazy, since I'm solo today. Solo Doug with Gutta somewhere in Europe. I don't know if he's gonna pop in. Yeah, right. Just to say hello. Wouldn't that be crazy if Gutta popped into chat while in Europe? Excuse me. Oh goodness, this show's already getting off to a great start. Let's go there. This is what happens when Gutta's not here. I have to do multiple things at once, and that's always fun, right? All right, just updating Twitter. We are live. This is week 18. Week 18. That's crazy. All right. We'll do kind of, am I going to be gross and blow my nose on camera? I do kind of have to blow my nose. I'm going to take myself off camera for a second. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. All right, no more nose blowing. We're good. Ready to go. Week 18. Week 18 NFL. If you're playing cash, you are a psychopath. I'm not currently playing cash. I haven't even thought of a cash lineup, but let's talk cash. Let's talk cash for a few minutes before we get into GPPs. Now we're just going to break down the slate. Once inactives come out at 11:30, I'm just going to break down the slate, and we'll be out of here by noon. Cash quarterbacks. Josh Allen, not loving Buffalo for cash. If they win, they're the number 2 seed. If they lose and Cincinnati wins, then they're the number 3 seed. I don't know how important that is to them, if it's worth risking players. I could see them sort of half-assing their way through it, other than the fact that, maybe they want to keep New England out of the playoffs. But if I'm Buffalo, I'd rather see New England in the playoffs than Miami or even Pittsburgh. So probably don't see a lot of motivation coming out of Buffalo. Jalen Hurts, I don't know why people seem to think that this is a problem using Jalen Hurts this week. The Eagles need to win. If they win, they're the number 1 seed. If they lose, they could slip all the way down to the number 5 seed. So, they need to win. And if they lose, they definitely don't get the bye. They need to win. This is a huge, huge game for them. They're going to play. Jalen Hurts, probably the top quarterback in terms of upside on the entire slate. Joe Burrow. Baltimore's already sitting J.K. Dobbins, which means they might be sitting other players, which means Cincinnati might not have to try that hard to win. If Cincinnati wins, I believe they get a home game next week. If they lose, then they flip a coin for home game against Baltimore in week 1 of the playoffs. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think Cincinnati wants to go to a coin flip. They're going to try to win, but once this game's out of hand, but if it's out of hand, Burrow did something. So Burrow for cash is fine, though, for 900 more. Hurts has the Dak. Love Dak. Dallas has a shot still at the number 1 seed, I'm pretty sure. But they could definitely move up. There's definitely, they could win the division. They've got incentive. It's an outside shot at the number 1 seed. But if Philly loses and Dallas wins the division. If Philly loses, and San Francisco loses, and Minnesota loses, all very unlikely, and Dallas wins, they're the number one seed to get the bye. They need to play this game. Washington's sitting a lot of people. They're playing Sam Howell. I like Dak a lot. He's been running a little bit more lately. Dak for cash is fine. Geno's probably the best cash option on the slate. Seattle has everything to play for. If they win and Detroit wins, Seattle's in the playoffs. If they lose, then Detroit versus Green Bay is for the playoffs. So they have to win. Geno gets $2 million if they go to the playoffs. Geno Smith is trending towards cash. There's no other quarterback I'd consider for cash this week. Really, for me, it comes down to Geno or Jalen Hurts. Since I haven't built the cash lineup, let's start with Hurts and kind of see where we go. Running backs. McCaffrey should definitely be in play. San Francisco could get the number one seed if Philly loses, and he's been an absolute workhorse. If Philly has a big early lead, I can see them sitting McCaffrey, which is why Jordan Mason's on my GPP list. But they're gonna have to play him early. He could be solid for cash. Don't know if we can fit him if we're using Hurts, but McCaffrey solid. I don't think Chargers are going to play their starters because if Cincinnati beats Baltimore, which they should, the Chargers can't change their playoff position. They're locked into the number 5, which is prime. If for some reason Baltimore wins, then the Chargers are going to want to win because then they get the 5th seed avoids Buffalo and Cincinnati in the first round of the playoffs. So, and they get Jacksonville. I think that's the spot, but you can't play Chargers in cash because they're probably not going to play their starters. There's a good chance they don't. It's too risky. Barkley's not going to play. Nick Chubb's definitely not a cash play. Minnesota, there's question whether or not they're going to try very hard. They have to have San Francisco lose to David Blau and Philadelphia and Dallas. They all have to lose. They have to lose. Everyone has to lose, and they're not going to. I don't know where the incentive is for Minnesota to do much in this game other than feeding Justin Jefferson. I'm not playing Cook. Joe Mixon could be in play, but I think Burrow is in December Burrow or January, I guess. Late season Burrow mode. They're going to throw. Pollard is fine, but Zeke is getting all the goal line touches. Paul's going to have to score from way out, and he got a number of targets the last few weeks. I mean, he's good in the passing game, but he's a little pricey for what they could give us. I love Ramondre Stevenson. New England has to win. They win and they're in. And if Buffalo has any decreased motivation, you've got a target hog and a guy who can get some volume on the ground. He's averaging 15 points a game. I like Ramondre at 6,700. Kamara, they're going to use him, but he's been terrible for most of the year. David Montgomery should get his normal usage in a game that Chicago doesn't care, so I'm not using him. Ken Walker should be fine, but I'd rather use – I think the passing game is going to be bigger, so Geno Smith. Zeke is more of an end-zone only guy. He's fine, but he's 12 to 15 points a week. It's for 6,300. That's not worth it. Cam Maker should get work, but I'm not trusting him. Love Najee Harris this week. He is my top cash play at running back. Pittsburgh, if Miami loses and they're starting Skylar Thompson, and if New England loses, they're playing in Buffalo, and Pittsburgh wins. Pittsburgh is in the playoffs for the second year in a row with the craziest freaking luck to get in the playoffs. And Najee is in full workhorse mode. Love Najee Harris at $6,100. I think there's a chance Miami goes back to Ronnie Brown style and starts running. I think, Mostert, and I think they could go Wildcat, honestly, with Skylar Thompson. They've got 2 receivers who do it in Hill and Waddle. They've got Mostert and Wilson. I just think Skylar Thompson takes all of the Miami plays kind of out of the equation. Miles Sanders could be fine, but Hurts is going to be in there. Tyler Algier is another guy that I really like. He needs about 100 yards, or exactly 100 yards to get 1,000. He's been in workhorse mode as well. Really like him for cash, even though he's playing in the early slate with nothing to play for. I think that 1,000 yards matters. Matt asks about, good morning, Matt. No one's talking about Kamara today. Is he ranked high? Do I like him? No. Basically, I don't like Kamara. There's no reason for him. I just don't see why New Orleans would play him hard. He's not getting work in the passing game anymore. He doesn't do as much around the goal line because Taysom Hill gets goal line touches, though Hill might not play. But they've got other guys they can use. His price is really good, but I'm much more into the passing game for New Orleans than I am for the running game. And I just think I'd rather use Najee Harris and Tyler Algier, particularly in cash. In tournaments, I guess he's more of a play. Kamara at 6,600, but his ownership, it's almost, to me, better to fade him. That's kind of where I'm at for that. Wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is going to be one of the most widely owned players on the slate because he needs 196 yards to break the all-time record. I just don't know how important that is to the team, and I don't know if it's worth risking an injury when they're fairly locked into their playoff spot, assuming San Francisco and Philly win, which I think they will. I don't think there's going to be that motivation. I think we could see a lot of Minnesota backups playing. He's more of a tournament play for me. Don't trust Skylar Thompson. Jamar Chase should be fine, but Cincinnati, I'm a little hesitant to use in cash right now after I don't know where their mental state is at. Target volume's great. I'm not 100% sure I want to use him in this matchup. A guy I do want to use is CeeDee Lamb. His volume's been insane lately, and Dallas does need to win this game. He's priced well. He's been great. I love CeeDee Lamb. A.J. Brown's a tournament play. I can't trust Buffalo right now in cash because I don't know where their motivation lies. I'm not using T. Higgins. Devonta Smith in a game that they have to win in order to get the number one seed. His volume has been ridiculous. He's been a 20-point per game guy, $7,500. Love Devonta Smith. Leaves us with very little. Let's go over to D real quick, and we're going to go find some value. Defense, there are two teams I like for defense. One of them's a little pricier, which is Pittsburgh Steelers, heavily motivated, big-time front seven pressure. Only one sack last week, but it was a little different. They don't give up a ton of points. They don't give up a ton of pass yards. They're just a really good defense. I do think they have a ton of upside at $3,200. I'm using a lot in tournaments, but for me, for cash, I'm using the Denver Broncos. Like I said, I do not think that the Chargers are going to play their guys. And I do see Denver being motivated in this game. They probably want to start the offseason regiment on a good note, get another win under their belts, and leave this season positively. I think Denver's actually a team that could put up some numbers this week. So I'm using their defense against what I expect to be the backups for the Chargers. Need to save some more money, so let's go tight end. I am inclined to use Gronklin over here. Target volume has been really good. When Flacco was starting the season, target volume was outstanding. Has a good matchup against Miami. Jets, they're going to want to keep Miami out of the playoffs. They're going to want to end the season on a winning note. They had a great year for the Jets. I think Conklin is the guy to use at tight end. I can make the argument for Kittle. I can make the argument for Schultz. I can make the argument for Higbee. He's got some contract incentives, but it's only like 15 yards. So once he gets that, who knows if they'll continue to play him. Gerald Everett needs 5 catches for contract incentives, but again, I'm not sure if it's worth risking that for the playoffs. What if they just pay him? Trey McBride got a ton of targets last week, but he's going up against a fairly motivated San Francisco defense. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable using him this week. Tampa's not playing anyone, so Otten is out, and I don't know what they're going to do there. Albert O could be in play. They used him a little bit last week, 6 targets. Against Chargers, I do think he is cash viable, but I'll put Gronklin in right now and just see. Again, I'm building this from scratch because I have not built a cash lineup this week. I just think cash is crazy. Let's see. We need to go cheap wide receiver. Who's a cheapy wide receiver that we can use? Okay. DeAndre Carter actually has some contract incentives. And if the Chargers do not play their stars, DeAndre Carter could get an increase in targets. So I do think there's some viability for DeAndre Carter. Greg Dortch continues to get targets. He got 21 the last 2 weeks combined. David Blau does not suck as bad as people want to think he does. He is cash viable. I'm just trying to look at the cheaper end. I just have a hard time trusting backups, like in a game where we know backups are going to play. I do like what they're doing with Tyquan Thornton in New England in a game they have to win. He has been getting a number of targets lately. I do think he has that cash upside. Shea Smith has been getting a little more work for the Carolina Panthers. I like him in tournaments actually a little bit as just a punt option, but I think I'm going to go Tyquan Thornton here for now and see what that leaves me with for the last position. $5,000. All right, let's see. What can we do with $5,000? $5,000. I don't like James Cook. Thielen. Chuba, I think, gets some work today, but not enough to do anything. I've got him in tournaments. I don't really see him in cash. Let's see what else we got going on here. I would love to use Zach Moss. I didn't talk about Zach Moss. I think he's going to get quite a bit of work. Dallas Goedert would be in play if we went double tight end. If I wasn't using Devonta Smith, then we may end up going that direction. I don't hate Cortland Sutton in this spot. Like I said, I think Denver's going to be okay. He's got the target volume for his price. All he needs to do is put one in the end zone. He's a very talented wide receiver. Let's see what else we got going on. I think Jahan Dotson, if he gets one more touchdown, he has the record for the Washington Commanders team for a rookie. His target volume is strong, but he's got Sam Howell throwing to him, but he's got a nose for the end zone. I do think they're going to feed the kid. So that gives us that kind of, put him in $4,500. That leaves us $500 left over. And so you might be able to play with something there. If we went to Geno Smith, we'd be able to spend up for another position. So maybe you don't do Jahan Dotson, maybe you don't do Jalen Hurts. So again, we're just playing around here. I'm not playing cash, and I don't recommend you play cash, but the first part of the show is always cash, and I'm going to do that with you guys. We're going to go through that. So let's go take a look here at Geno 1,000. Put Geno in there at $6,000. What that leaves us with? Well, that leaves us $7,200 for a flex. Now we could do a lot of stuff with that second position. We could go Tony Pollard. We could go Ramondre. That's where I want to go, I think. I don't think at this point we need to go all the way down to Zach Moss. Though he's gotten a ton of work, and Houston cannot stop running backs. So what if we put Zach Moss in there, just hypothetically? We hate our life, so we're going to put Zach Moss in there. That leaves us $2,000. Can we do something at tight end other than Gronklin, who I like? Not really. All right, we'll go back to Gronklin. 3,600. I guess we could go 53. We got more money now for a second wide receiver. A third wide receiver, we don't need to go Thornton, which is probably good. Hollywood. Right. Who's up here? That's Cooper? Amari Cooper? Not Amari Cooper. DJ Moore, I mean. Olave. And then we'd have to move down from Zach Moss. So maybe we could do that. Let's go DJ Moore. Let's get rid of Zach Moss. And what does that leave me with? Back down to 4,400. Is there anyone I like at 4,400? See, that's the thing. It's a really crappy slate. Just a god-awful slate. Jonathan Williams should get work for Washington. I might go back to Dotson, which I'm $100 short on Dotson. So that's fun. Who do we got at 6,000? Is there a $6,000 running back I like? Oh, you want to get funky. You want to get funky this week, folks. You want to get funky. You go Dotson. Oh, one of those inactives come out so I could stop talking about cash. You go Dotson, and then you go Kittle. Kittle's been a beast, right? So you double tight end it. That could work. Or you go Kittle, and you want to take Conklin out. You can go Kittle Thornton. Maybe that even works better for me. Go Kittle. See what I'm saying, though, about cash being garbage? It's just not fun. It's just not fun this week. I won't do cash. I won't do cash. I can't. Week 18 cash. Too much up in there. But look at me serving by going through this horrendousness with you to try to make your day better. So you go take Juan Thornton here, and that leaves us with $300 left over. Can I go up from the Broncos? Do I want a $2,800 defense? I like to spend all my money if I can. No, just trash left over. Maybe the Jets. So maybe take the Broncos out. Maybe we like the Jets defense a little bit better against Skylar Thompson. All right, let's see what the Jets defense has done. They are getting sacks. They're not turning anyone over, though. One turnover in the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Holy crap, they've been terrible. But we do like the Jets defense a little bit. So something like this for cash, maybe. It's freaking ugly. It's ugly. I don't. Yeah. Ugh. Let's look at inactives. This is going to be one of the most interesting inactive weeks. Definitely the most interesting one of the year, that's for sure. Anthony Brown starting for the Ravens today, which means Tyler Huntley is out. Yeah, Ravens are done. Ravens are not doing shit today. Ravens don't matter at all. Hey, while I'm loading this up, and while we're waiting to get more inactives, I will say that FanDuel really messed up. They're running their slate. They had included the Green Bay game on the late slate, on the main slate. They're including the Green Bay Detroit game. I hate that, and I'm not playing their full slate. I refuse to play their full slate. I'll play early only. I'll play 4 o'clock only. I'm not playing the main slate when you include the 8 o'clock game. That's so freaking stupid. FanDuel continues to do stupid things like that. I don't understand what FanDuel is doing. They did this last week too, where they put the 8 o'clock game on the main slate. It's ugly. Let's see. Bengals inactives. Everyone's playing for the Bengals. Justin Fields, as we knew, is inactive. Nobody else. That's a surprise. Darrington Evans. Tyler Huntley, Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews. They're all out for Baltimore. Cincinnati's got this, is winning this football game. So I guess that means, but then again, so since he's going to try, but how hard are they going to need to try? Also, that does set up for the fact that the Bills do need to win to get the number 2 seed. Do they want the 2 seed that badly? That's very important. Nothing big for the Browns. Julio Jones inactive for the Bucks. They're all their guys are active, but Tampa Bay literally has nothing to play for. I'll be shocked if we see the starters at all or more than a quarter. I mean, I'll be shocked. Bills are playing everyone. So that might tell you something. Same thing with the Vikings. They're playing everyone. So that should tell you maybe a little about their motivation. Let's see what else is going on. I mean, Baltimore is just toast. I got to update some other stuff now. So Baltimore has given up. They have given up. Just waiting to see some more. Let's see, what inactives am I really interested in? I'm kind of interested in Houston inactives because I want to see just how much they're tanking. Let's see, who else's inactives matter? New England's inactives will matter for this slate a little bit. And I'm hoping New Orleans doesn't do anything stupid and like announce Jameis Winston as their starter or some bullshit like that. Andy Dalton won me $1,000 last year on a 2-game slate the last Saturday of the season. So I've got a little bit of an affinity for Andy Dalton, so I will be stacking him today. Probably more heavily than any human being should. Let's see. Nothing else is showing up. Wow. Ravens, man. Just tanking. Just getting everyone healthy for next week. Twitter is just dead today. Let's see. Nothing. I feel like nothing's updated. Jeepers. Patriots. Jonnu Smith inactive. I like Hunter Henry. All the receivers are active, though, which actually makes Taquan Thornton less attractive. All right, I'm going to multitask here. I'm going to swipe and go over the games because I want to get out of here before 1 o'clock. I want this to be, or before 12 o'clock. I want this to be a real quick slate. Let's see. Who's starting at quarterback today? This is fantastic. Anthony Brown for Baltimore, Nathan Peterman for Chicago, Sam Howell for Washington, Skylar Thompson for Miami, Davis Webb for the Giants, Sam Ehlinger for the Colts. I mean, yikes. So, yikes. Oh, Bennett Carroll says Isaiah Likely season, but yeah, I don't know about Isaiah Likely. All right, Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. I don't expect anyone on Tampa Bay to do anything. Atlanta, I don't really trust Desmond Ridder. He just doesn't put up the volume against even the backups. Remember, too, I'm not talking full slate, though full slate is in play, of course, but I'm playing early only mostly and then late only mostly. I'm splitting them up because I just think otherwise you're just overloading on late slates, and then you ignore some of the value plays in the early slate, and I want to take advantage of some of the knowledge that we're going to have for the early slate. And there's money to be made in the early slate, so I'm doing early only, late only. Desmond Ridder, I mean, he doesn't even score 10 points yet this year. Not a big fan there. Love Tyler Algier, particularly on the early slate. $5,600 is a good price, and the guy's been over 15 points 3 straight. I think they're going to want to get him that 100 yards. Drake London's in play as just the targets are there, 10, 20, 30, 40 targets the last 4 weeks. I mean, hasn't scored a touchdown, but he's a touchdown away from crushing value. I don't mind Drake London as a one-off kind of a deal. New England versus Buffalo. New England has everything to play for this week. They win, they're in the playoffs. That does not mean I like Mac Jones. I do like Ramondre Stevenson, particularly on DraftKings with the target share that he could receive. I don't know which New England receiver to like. I mean, they're all kind of just there. Jacoby Myers will get the work, but last time against Buffalo, 5 targets. So not in love there. Do think Hunter Henry gets some work here. Don't mind him as a one-off in a tournament. 6 targets last week, 10 points, and he's hitting value. So we don't mind that there. Buffalo, for me, is tournament only. If they feel the number 2 seed's important, they're going to go out and play. And if they go out and play, Josh Allen, I mean, he had one of his worst games of the year against New England, but the guy's a 25 to 30-point machine. Stephon Diggs, obviously, you want to stack him with. I don't trust too many of the other players. I mean, I guess Gabe Davis could catch a long one, but will he? Who knows? He had 7 targets last time against New England, only caught 2 of them. Not in love with that. I don't think I'm going to play a lot of Buffalo this week. I just don't see it happening. Dawson Knox is probably the guy I would secondary stack because he's been a favorite towards the end zone and doing just fine there, and he's cheap. So that's an easy way to stack. Just going back to check. Let's see. Juwan Johnson and Taysom Hill are active. It actually makes me like Kamara less because Taysom Hill's there to steal touchdowns. Jacoby Myers active. Let's see if there's any other inactives I missed. I've been told by the Buffalo hospital that there are trying to find ways for Damar Hamlin to watch the game. I hear TV is good for that. If they don't have Damar Hamlin in a room with a television, I assume he's capable of watching TV. I mean, he's been on FaceTime and stuff, so hopefully he's okay for that. But I mean, if I don't know what the problem is getting a TV in the room. James McCool, newcomer of the year 2017, FSWA. Funny guy. Follow him on Twitter at Pater DFS. He's says DFS in week 18 is for weirdos and sickos. I guess we're weird and sick. I'm good with that. All right, let's see. Nothing else there. Okie dokie. Minnesota, Chicago. Chicago, there's no one. I don't want anyone in Chicago with Nathan Peterman at quarterback. I mean, Minnesota's got a terrible pass defense, but even in an early-only slate, I'm not using them. Hell, even in a showdown slate, I don't think I'm using Nathan Peterman. I don't think I'm using any. I'm using one there, probably. The thing with Minnesota, my concern is how important it is for them. Is it for them to try to move up to the 2 or the 1 seed, knowing that San Francisco and Philly are going to win against JV squads? Probably not that much. I expect them to not go all out. I don't think the record for Jefferson's all that important. A couple of different reasons. 1, he's young. He's got other seasons to make it. 2, they've got a shot for the Super Bowl. Why get him hurt over a record? And 3, he's doing it in 17 games, and it's been done in 16. So how much of a record is it really? Though some could say he's only played 16 because look at what he did last week. I mean, it didn't really count. I'm tournament only. I'm very light on Minnesota. I will either do really well this week because I'm fading Minnesota, or I will get burned this week because I'm fading Minnesota. Again, not 100% fade, but I am playing very lightly on Minnesota. And if I'm playing, it's going to be Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson. I'm not going overboard there. Chicago's terrible. I mean, Dalvin Cook could be in play, but again, if he gets the early hook, then it's maybe they'll get some work in for Alexander Madison or even I don't trust Minnesota. I don't see why they would go and hurt their players if they play more than a half. I'd be shocked. I could see that being like a 13-3 kind of a game. Baltimore, we said, is already way white flag. You don't want any Ravens. Bengals don't want a coin flip. They want a home game next week, and for that to happen, they need to win. They're going to go out and put up some points, but if they're up 28-0, they're going to rest their guys. But if they're up 28-0, Burr and the team probably did something. Burrow is in full-on late-season nuclear mode. He's just been putting up a really decent amount of points. And Chase, Higgins, Boyd, all okay for me. Hopefully T. Higgins is emotionally okay for this because the numbers have been great. He's got a really good matchup this week. If, whatever reason they decide to start to play a little lighter, Tyler Boyd's in play. But for me, if I'm going on this game, it's all out. It's Chase, it's Higgins, it's Burrow. I'm not a big fan of Mixon. I don't think they're going to try to salt the game too much. Baltimore's defense is pretty good against the rush, though. Mixon's been catching a ton of passes, but without touchdowns, he hasn't really been doing much. I don't know. I've never liked Joe Mixon. F Joe Mixon, as me and my buddy Steve like to say. Houston, Indy. I can't believe even say this, but like I really like Zach Moss today. I mean, he's a young enough player. He's a good enough player. He's like a good Trent Richardson kind of. He's not going to get you more than 4 or 5 yards of carry. Like he doesn't bust long ones, but he can handle volume, and he's okay down by the goal line. I'm using quite a bit of Zach Moss as a cheap play in my early only slates. Not really running it back with anyone. I kind of wait to see some Houston inactives here. That's why one of the reasons I keep scrolling, because I'm not opposed to running it back a little bit with I'm not opposed to running it back with Brandon Cooks if he's playing. Well, that's a really interesting picture. Okay. Let's go Texans. Texans inactives. That's today. Nobody of consequences inactive, which means I guess Brandon Cooks is playing. So like, if you want to run it back with Brandon Cooks, I suppose that's fine. But like, I don't know. It's Houston. Like, well, I spent way too much time on this game. Some random naked lady just popped up on my Twitter, and I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Jets in Miami. I think the Jets win this football game, honestly. I am not that interested in Miami. Jets have a real good pass defense, and Dolphins are starting Skylar Thompson. Like, I don't see it. Like, what's Skylar Thompson done this year? He had, one good quarter, I think, this year? Not even. Like, he had volume. Didn't do anything with it. Last week, nothing. Like, I don't know. I guess Tyreek Hill, because he's Tyreek Hill, could be in play, but if he gets sauced, they're in trouble. I mean, he's not done anything in the last couple of weeks. Jalen Waddle could be the beneficiary here, but like, again, it's boom or bust. I really think they're going to try to go Wildcat style. I don't know why. Something tells me McDaniels is like this fan of history, and he's just enough of a troll that why not run out Mostert and Wilson? I'm not playing them as if they were. I just don't trust anyone. I actually like the Jet side in this game a little bit. Flacco was okay to start the season. When he was the starter, he put up decent numbers earlier in the year. He had an 18-point game and a 30-point game. Garrett Wilson benefited from that, and Tyler Conklin benefited. Those are the guys. That's my Jet stack, and I do have a Jet stack today. Like, I can't believe it. Gutta's not here, and I'm advocating a Jet stack. But look, I mean, this is what he did. 22 targets for Garrett Wilson in the first 2 weeks of the season with Joe Flacco as his quarterback. I have no problem using Garrett Wilson. And rounding out the early, there's 2 more. I like New Orleans today. I don't know why. It's probably because of the money I made last year off of Dalton. But like, what's not to like about crazy Andy Dalton? He is just gingery. The upside's limited. It really is. Taysom Hill could steal some things, but what do you need out of Dalton? 18 points to get you there. Olave needs some statistical thing to get a rookie record for the Saints. So why not pepper him with 8-10 targets? We've seen him do it before, and he gets in the end zone. He pays off value, and Rashid Shaheed has been great. He catches a ton of long passes. He gets a ton of yards. Like, the guy is a playmaker. Put the ball in his hands, and he does great things. So awesome. I'm going to use him for $4,200 in a stack. I like him as a one-off. I like him as a mini stack. DJ Moore. DJ Moore's been insane since Sam Darnold's come back. 18, 20, 26. He has 23 there in week 12. Like, the guy's a really good receiver, and Sam Darnold can actually get him the ball. I'm not in love with the Sam Darnold stack playing in New Orleans, but I'm not opposed. And I'll mention Kamara as, I guess, a tournament play, but I just can't do it. Don't trust Kamara. Never have, never will. I'd rather use Stevenson, Najee, and Algier as my running backs, and Zach Moss as my 4 running backs above Kamara in the early slate. I would much rather use those guys. Taking a look at this game, Cleveland, nothing to play for. I guess Deshaun Watson's going to try to go out there and finish the season strong, but I don't see it. For me, it's all about Najee Harris in this game. I think the volume's going to be there. They're going to ride him and try to get into the playoffs, and I do think Pittsburgh actually makes the playoffs. I think Buffalo beat New England. I think the Jets beat Miami. I think Pittsburgh throttles Cleveland and goes to the playoffs. I do like a Najee Pittsburgh defense stack pretty heavily today. Freiermuth also has been getting a lot of targets. I'm fine using Freiermuth as a cheap tight end option, or if you're stacking the Steelers, though I'm not really going heavily on Steelers stacks. Deontay Johnson is going to break the record for most catches in a season without a touchdown, unless he gets in the end zone today. I'm not opposed to using him. I think they want to get him a touchdown. Pickens has sort of fallen off a little bit, but still no problem using him in a stack if I'm stacking Pittsburgh. So if I'm playing early slate, what do I like? Let's take a real look here. Tyler Algier, Drake London, Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry. Buffalo is a tournament play. Minnesota's tournament only. Cincinnati heavy in the tournaments. Zach Moss, Jets stack. Miami receivers maybe a little bit. New Orleans stack with DJ Moore run back, and Pittsburgh and their defense running particularly running back heavy. So that's my early slate. After slate, Giants are playing nobody, so I'm not using anyone. I guess Gary Brightwell is usable if he's going to play the majority of snaps. He's talented. I've seen him in the preseason. He was good. But I'm not in love with that. I don't trust any of their receivers with Davis Webb throwing the football. I do love Philly in this game. Hurts, he's going to be fine. He wants the MVP. They want to get the number one seed. They're going to push. They're going to try to win. I love A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. A.J. Brown's currently going at 4%. His upside is as high as anyone on the slate. I don't see why we wouldn't use A.J. Brown in tournaments this week as a one-off or as part of a Philly stack. I do have a lot of Philly stacks if I'm playing full slate, not just afternoon only. Full slate, I have a lot of Philly. Philly and Dallas and Seattle are my three main stacks if I'm running a full slate. Those are the three guys. Well, spoiler alert there. Devonta Smith's volume's crazy, so of course I'm using him. He's priced really well. He's 20 points in 4 of the last 5 weeks. Dallas Goedert, volume's not all the way back yet, but I'm fine using Goddard if you want to save a little bit of money over Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown or as a one-off tight end. Dallas and Washington. Washington starting Sam Howell. They have none of their running backs. The only player I'd consider on this team is Jahan Dotson, trying to go for the rookie record for Washington touchdowns. Otherwise, I'm not interested. From the Dallas side, love them all from the passing game in particular. Give me Dak Prescott. Give me CeeDee Lamb. Less in love with Michael Gallup. I take a shot on T.Y. Hilton. Why not? He's getting a couple of shots a game. 5 targets last game, $3,400. Actually, I like that quite a bit. Dalton Schultz is fine, gets a ton of targets. Dak loves him. I'm fine with Schultz. Dallas, Philly, Seattle. Like I said, my 3 favorite stacks of the day. Not in love with the Dallas running game, but of course you can take shots with them. A little pricey. Don't expect the Chargers to play any of their starters. Maybe Gerald Everett. I do think DeAndre Carter has some upside given his downfield ability, and he does have some contract incentives to hit with not a ton of work needed, and he's gone over 10 points 3 times this year. I think he also returns kicks, so you've got that potential there. Chase Daniel's not the worst backup in the league. Might as well earn some of that $100 bajillion he's made for being a backup. Maybe we'll see some Josh Palmer. Not in love with that idea. I do think Russell Wilson is a play this week. He is a real sneaky play. I wish this was on the early slate. Honestly, I would play a lot of Denver. If they're on the early slate, he's running a little bit more. 25 plus points in 2 of the last 3 weeks. The 2 of the last 3 games he's played. And Judy and Sutton are the 2 main beneficiaries. Also, like Albert O, got 6 targets last week. A real nice cheap one-off. At tight end, I'm not sure what they're going to do at running back because Chase Edmonds came back. Latavius Murray, there's really no reason not to run him into the ground because it's not like they're going to use him next year. So I can see Latavius Murray getting a ton of work today, but I am a little bit afraid that they're going to give too much work to Chase Edmonds. I may use one of the 2 guys if I need a cheap running back, which I will if I'm stacking Philly. Otherwise, I do kind of like Denver as a really, really, really sneaky stack. If you use a Denver stack, let's just go in there and do that real quick. Show you what you can do, particularly on a late slate. Use Judy. If you even get trickier and you just go Sutton and Albert O. If you do that, you can then do this. You can get a 5% A.J. Brown, a 5% CeeDee Lamb, and I'll go afternoon only plays here. Let's see. Give me an afternoon only defense that I like. Don't love the afternoon only defenses. I guess you can go Seattle 3,300. Running back wise, we could go Zeke. You can go Walker. And at $4,700 flex, So the only player you're really missing here is McCaffrey. Like, this is not a bad lineup. Might as well build something while we're here, right? You run Jahan Dotson right there as a run back. Boom, done, happy. Running backs. I got 200 left to do something with Zeke. Let's see, do we have a better running back at 65 on the late slate? We don't, so we just stick with that. That, to me, that's a fun lineup. That's a fun lineup. It's different. Arizona, San Francisco. David Blau starts. How you like me now? $4,900. I mean, I'm not using him, but he can throw. He will get you volume. But the volume, I think, most importantly with him, it's going to go to Greg Dortch. Nice cheap option. I'm not sure I trust Hollywood Brown at his price. A little pricey for what he can do. I guess he's all right, but if you need a high upside guy, I guess that 5,300 price tag is all right. Trey McBride got 10 targets last week. San Francisco's been a little weaker against tight end lately, so maybe he's worth the $3,300. But Alberto's 29, just as crappy of a matchup. Love Kittle, love McCaffrey. Get them in, but McCaffrey's going to cost you. Debo's back. I think that hurts Ayuk more than it helps Debo. Not really running a Purdy stack. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not running it personally. Rams. I think the Rams are motivated to play in this game. I do think that they want to beat Seattle just to help the Lions because Stafford has some love for the Lions. Like, maybe I'm reading too deep into the narrative, but I do think they want to help their buddy Stafford's old team out because they, that trade helped them win a Super Bowl last year. I think they're going to be competitive, but at the end of the day, Seattle's the team to let here. Geno, $2 million if he wins this football game. He's going to be motivated. Metcalf, Lockett. If for some reason Lockett is inactive, Laquan Treadwell is going to probably get the work and fine using Treadwell at $3,200. Ken Walker as more of a standalone play. I'm not going to run him as a stack, but as a standalone, should get a ton of work. If I'm running anything back, it's Higbee. He does have those contract incentives, or Tutu Atwell. If you like him, you should see his brother 3-3. Tutu's getting some targets, has downfield ability, and is on the field for like 80% of the snaps. So I'm okay there. So afternoon slate, if we're talking Philly, Dallas, Seattle, Denver are the stacks I like best. In terms of like one-off type of plays, Jahan Dotson, the Denver running game, Alberto, San Francisco, Kittle, McCaffrey, maybe Tyler Higbee. Do I like Purdy as a one-off? Is he cheap enough to use as a one-off though, Paul? That's my thing. Like, he's $5,700. Like, I think I could do better at that price point or cheaper. Like, let's think about like what we could do at that price point, $5,700, right? If I want to run a $5,700 or cheaper player who has as much or more upside, I like Sam Darnold. I think Baker Mayfield is in play there. I think that I don't mind Sam Howell. I don't mind Kenny Pickett. I would probably rather use David Blau, maybe Peterman, because Minnesota's pass defense is so good, or isn't so good. So I think the thing with Purdy is he's just too expensive. If he's $4,800, absolutely. $5,700, I just named half a dozen guys I'd rather use in that spot as either a one-off or as someone who can be stacked cheaply. Hell, even Anthony Brown, because he's going to run. I don't love any of those guys. Andy Dalton, $4,800. Taysom Hill, $4,800 if you really want to get stupid. I don't, but some people do. So I'm not there on Purdy as a one-off. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're going to try to run McCaffrey a little bit and eventually just move over to Jordan Mason, who I did talk about him in my article as if you're crazy, but like he gets some carries, 2, 4, 11. I mean, he gets a couple of carries here and there. I do what I can, Paul. Let's try to win you something this week, right? It's, only won my final this week. Let's try to get you a second one. That's it for now, folks. Out before 12. I love it. Nice, quick show, but like it's week 18. We don't know. I don't play cash unless you're crazy, which some people are. I'll be in chat for the next hour over in our Slack chat. $3.99 a week. If you're not a member, it gets you access to everything that we do. Check out the pinned tweet in my profile over at Bankster17 on the Twitter machine. It comes around Heat Map Fantasy Sports. We cover it all. We come a club team and winning, doing all the thing. Paul does say, as we're heading out, he does like Higbee. My concern with Higbee is if they have long-term plans for him, they might not want to keep him in once he hits his contract incentives. And it's only 15 yards. If he plays the whole game, I think Higbee's a really strong value on the slate. Let's see. What will be my wild prediction today. I love to make those wild predictions. Andy Dalton and Russell Wilson, New Orleans and Denver stacks will be top 8 stacks. They'll be among the top 8 stacks. Seattle, Philly, Dallas, maybe Buffalo, maybe Minnesota, definitely Cincinnati, maybe the Jets. So one of those won't be in the top 8, whereas New Orleans and Denver will. You will not regret playing Denver, New Orleans. That's my bold prediction. Lord knows. Let's see if I can enter this $3 contest and finish on a strong note with this crazy 4 o'clock only lineup in a $3 main slate tournament. It's done. It's in. Thank you so much. It's a great season. I'll be back next week, probably, maybe Friday night. I don't know. We'll see when I'm going to be back. Maybe we'll do a double show Friday night, hockey, football, talk about wild card, super wild card weekend. Gutta's out of town again next week. We may be back for something in the playoffs. If not, check us out in Slack chat. At Bankster17 on Twitter for Heat Map Fantasy Sports. Thank you guys for a wonderful season with lots of money. Join the Comma Club. See you in chat.